Labour Party President defends government citizenship by investment program. The Smithsonian Institute backs an underwater expedition here with significant potential for tourism promotion. And a local NGO has high hopes for the establishment of a family court this year. I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. The details after this. First up in the news, President of the Dominica Labour Party has defended government citizenship by investment program.
In a statement released to the media on Friday, Honorable Peter Serja said the continuous bashing of the citizenship by investment program is unwarranted, as the program has been beneficial to all sectors of Dominica, especially in the wake of Tropical Storm Erica.
Educating our people has been one of the hallmarks of the Dominica Labour Party government. And our education sector has been, in fact, a major beneficiary of the finances raised under the Citizenship by Investment program. It is therefore an irrefutable fact that the Citizen by Investment program has and is continuing to make an invaluable contribution towards the development and improvement of our human resource capacity in this country.
Serja says several Dominicans are supported by the CBI, therefore they must denounce their attacks on the investment program.
It is therefore for this reason that the youth of this country and all other persons who are supported by the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development in their quest for higher learning must recognize and speak out against this blatant and unwarranted attack on the Citizen by Investment program by the opposition United Workers' Party.
In other top stories, the country's waters will be a focus of marine biologists and scientists for the next month. When experts from the Smithsonian Institute, University of Holland and Substation Curacao conduct research into the island's ocean, new marine biological information is expected to be discovered. This, as deep reefs off the northwest coast will be subject to that research. The Fisheries Division has partnered with the Marine Archaeology Society of Curacao and the Smithsonian Institute of Natural History Museum to make this happen. Some of the researchers arrived on the RV Chapman vessel this week. A welcome reception hosted by the Fisheries Division took place on Wednesday.
I've been here personally 10 times, and 8 of those times were expeditions, but not as big as this. This is exceptional. And normally we came with a small Stimacore team of 4, maybe 5 members. We stayed ashore in a hotel, and went out in a little inflatable dinghy to our dive site.
The experts have done work in the waters of Bayfront Harbour and Prince Rupert's Bay, Portsmouth. Some of the artifacts and archaeologists found in the sea are now exhibits at the Roseau Museum.
If we statistically worked on the materials we found that first year, we found out that about 40% were from England. And of course, you can understand why, because England was the master of this island, I think, from the middle of the 18th century.
Local historian Dr. Lennox Honeychurch has assisted the Curacao archaeologists with previous research efforts. The Fisheries Minister says he looks forward to a successful underwater expedition.
Unusual species of fish, coral, sponges, and other marine life may be discovered during this expedition, which will be of great significance to the local, regional, and international scientific community. Over the next few days, scientists from the Smithsonian Institute will fly in by aircraft to join the expedition. They will reside in hotels and guest houses for approximately 1 month, as different experiences will be exchanged over the period.
In related news, a commitment by a marine archaeologist from Curacao to expose the untapped potential of Dominica's marine resources to the international community. Idona John Baptiste explains.
A study of the island's marine biology and ecology is being seen as an avenue which will boost tourism promotion of the island's marine life. And the director of the Curacao Sea Aquarium says their high-profile expedition to explore the island's deep waters will attract international recognition.
You have more nature, and I think the nature is something which you can build your future on. But I see that 90% of all your nature is on land. But I disagree with that, because I think there's a tremendous amount of untapped nature that you are probably not aware of under the ocean. And with the instruments we have here, the submarine and the ship, we would like to offer our help to make you aware of what you have. This is what I have also done for Curacao, and I would love to help do it for you, is make people aware of your beautiful island. And I think we are very lucky that we have been invited here.
He believes the island's marine life could gain interest from research centers and pharmaceutical companies looking for new sources of medicine.
There's a big push now for new medicines in the world. And there's not many places in the world left to discover natural products to make medicines from. One of the main sources will be the deep oceans.
Scryer represents the only submarine research center in the eastern United States and Caribbean.
We have a team of experts who know how to operate the ship and the submarine. But we are not scientists, we are not professors, we are not marine biologists. There we have collaborated with people like in the United States and Australia and in Canada and in Germany and in Holland. There we are hooked up with professors and scientists who come and help us go into different parts, and they take samples of specimens from the deep reef, of sponges, tunicates, etc. And they will take them to the laboratories and try to see if there's material in there to make new medicines.
More news now. A watch and wait situation is how the future of the Dominica Coconut Products DCP is being described. In November 2015, the company announced its closure, leading to the eventual loss of 94 jobs. However, shortly after this announcement, Prime Minister Skerrit indicated government's interest in acquiring the plant at Belfast. Secretary-Treasurer of the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, WAU, says thus far no concrete action to purchase the company has been forthcoming from any entity.
Since that time, we were in discussion with the management in terms of information from the management, where they indicated that they were actively searching to get a buyer for the operations, and that they had hoped that the buyer would continue with the program and the products that were being produced at Coconut Products. We also knew at the time that the management also held discussions with the government, that the government had in fact intended to purchase the assets of the plant and to also look at the possibility of getting a buyer for the operations. But since that time, we haven't had anything further from the management of the plant, or for that matter, from the administration, in relation to their intention of keeping the plant operational.
Augusta says though jobs were lost, some employees have been able to get employment elsewhere. There are still managerial level operations ongoing at the DCP.
In the end, what happened is that the people were paid the redundancy package on the basis of the formula that is provided in law. And on top of this, each employee received 2 months' notice plus an additional 4 weeks' pay.
The Dominica Coconut Products DCP has been a household name in Dominica for several decades and is well known for its production of soaps and other detergent items. And broadcast media houses in Dominica have until early March to secure broadcast licenses.
That's according to Chairman of the Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization for Music Rights, Echo McCarthy Marie. So far, only 2 media houses on the island have their licenses. Last year, Marie said one of Echo's aims was to have more media houses acquire licenses in 2016.
We've begun the process. We've written to a couple of them and waiting on their reply before we make the next move. But yeah, it won't be too long before, well, something happens, you then take the license, or the lawsuit will be, or lawsuits in the plural will be issued. Well, I'm giving them about 2 weeks more to reply. And positively, in other words, they reply, my reply. But if the reply is not the reply that we wish to have, then we will move to the next stage.
ECHO collects royalties from broadcast media houses on behalf of its music writers and composers. Marie says letters were sent to media houses in late February and is hoping for a favorable response.
They'll be obeying the law, and I think they all want to be law-abiding citizens and corporations, so that's the main benefit to them. And of course, having the licenses then allows people to create more music, to keep their station furnished with the cheapest form of programming which they can have. This question of broadcast houses having license to play music is a thing that was settled in the early 20th century. The first case was the Performing Rights Society versus the BBC in 1923. And that settled the whole question of broadcasters needing to have authorization to perform or broadcast music.
Upon acquiring a license, radio stations will be expected to pay 2.5% of their revenue towards the organization, while television stations are to pay 1.625%. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Coming up on the Channel 5 News, intercepting the youth before they get involved in criminal activity. What Carriman plans to do about that. Thank you for staying with us. A member of the NGO Coalition for the Protection of Children hopes that 2016 is the year a family court system will be implemented in Dominica. Tina Alexander is of the view that even with the lack of resources, it is possible to make children who have been abused feel less traumatized.
We have a very good magistrate who could run the family court at the magisterial level. The judges are equipped to perform in a family court. You don't have to have a special building. You could designate one of the courts to be the family court and adjust it. We already have one designated as the juvenile court, but it needs some adjustments if it's going to be a family court. We do need more trained probation officers who are dedicated just to probation, and that's something that could be resolved. We need the cameras to be used, so we need a technician, but we can borrow a technician from somewhere. It doesn't take a huge amount of resources. It takes reorganizing what we have.
The NGO representative says children who have been abused are not motivated to give evidence because it is scary and parents don't want to put their children through the process for a number of years.
Not just for the sake of the individual children, but for the sake of Dominican children on the whole, we need to have a family court. And I can't say that they're closed. We've asked for another meeting with the Minister of Justice, and we will go back in and talk with them again. We want to see victim support attached to the DPP's office so that everybody gets somebody to stand with them when things are tough.
Meanwhile, Alexander is also appealing for a policy decision to be made for paper committals.
If you're a parent of a child who needs to give evidence in court, you can ask, couldn't I have a paper committal for my child? That would mean that the evidence would be looked at on paper. Your child doesn't appear in the magistrate's court. Eventually, when it's agreed, they go to the High Court. That would cut out a lot of sad stories. I've seen children who are really traumatized by the whole process.
She also informed that government had invited the coalition to participate in consultations on the Sexual Offences Act, which is currently under review. And congratulatory messages continue to come in for Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit.
On Tuesday, an honorary doctorate was conferred on Mr. Skerrit by the Lovely Professional University in Punjab, India, where he was the guest speaker at that institution's commencement ceremony. Minister for Education and Human Resource Development, who is also president of the Dominica Labour Party and parliamentary representative for the Lapland constituency, has extended his congratulations to the Prime Minister.
Roosevelt Skerrit has put the Commonwealth of Dominica on the map one more time. He is dynamic, and although leading the country for but 12 years of its 38 years of independence, he has initiated diplomatic relations with more than half of the 99 countries that Dominica has recognized. He is far-sighted. His outreach to the poor was at first criticized as a waste. His joining of the Bolivarian Republic, or the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of the America, ALBA, was described as dangerous. His recognition of the People's Republic of China was once feared as being overly ambitious. We are indeed proud, therefore, that today and henceforth we shall call him Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit.
Prime Minister Skerrit received an honorary doctorate of literature. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In more news now, President of the Caribbean Male Action Network, Carriman Dominica, wants to target youth before they begin engaging in criminal activities. Carriman has been involved in several activities for the past few years targeted towards the positive development of young people in society, particularly young men. Last year, Carriman began the Boys on a Mission to Success program at the St. Mary's Primary School, as well as a prison rehabilitation program for men aged 19 to 35. An ongoing program that Holmes believes will keep young people out of prison is the anti-bullying campaign.
We have programs where even before the prison, before we can think of prison, we had started some time ago a program, survey, anti-bullying survey. And then what we're doing is we are working with the schools to have this survey to see how extensive is bullying in Dominica. When we have this anti-bullying thing, we're not just going to talk about the school, but we want to include the parents, the homes, we want to include the communities, we want to include the churches. Because we believe that if this has to be successful, everybody has to be involved, especially the parents. And I must say that any program you have at school, if the parents are not included in it and not involved, then it is not really going to be as successful as you'd like it to be.
Holmes says the prison program was designed to be restorative since punishment often leads to resistance. He says the aim of the prison program is to build positive young men to be leaders. For a 6-month period while in prison, they'll engage in sessions on building positive relationships, conflict resolution, anger management, literacy, and other activities. Carriman is currently preparing activities for those who have been released.
We have had 2 meetings with Cooperatives Division, where we're going to see how we can form a cooperative to involve them, self-employed or somehow where they can do something for themselves instead of going back to prison. They will be engaged. In addition to this, the meeting this afternoon, we're going to have a discussion with Youth Division. And what we're going to do is how can we engage them in a program at Youth Division. We saw something, there's a lot of success stories at the Youth Division, so we want them to be part of that. So we're going to figure out this afternoon how can we get these young men involved in a program that will benefit them.
So far, 5 of the 15 participants are out of jail. But Executive Director of Lifeline Ministries and a fellow NGO coalition member Tina Alexander has called on government to champion the cause of juvenile justice. She says as NGOs, they cannot pick up total responsibility for the rehabilitation of the offenders. But she says it's the responsibility of government to rehabilitate offenders, which she says require a change in the system. Meanwhile, the inmates who are left at the prison will continue to receive moral support from Carriman. That's news. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Sports Report. The presidential candidates in the FIFA election were on the edge of their seats as the ballots were tallied on Friday. All biases were laid aside when the number of votes spoke for the football heads around the world. The contenders for the presidency are Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa, Gianni Infantino, Prince Al bin Al Hussein, and Jerome Champagne, all hoping to replace suspended FIFA boss Sepp Blatter. Tokyo Sexwale withdrew from the electoral race, citing it was a good run for him, but his campaign is suspended as of now. Gianni Infantino succeeded Sepp Blatter as FIFA president. The UEFA Secretary General polled 115 votes in round 2, 27 more than closest rival Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa. Prince Al bin Al Hussein was third with 4, while Jerome Champagne failed to get any. The first round of voting had failed to determine an outright winner. A simple majority of more than 50%, 104 votes, was sufficient for victory in the second round. The target was set Thursday, and now it was the Pierre Charles Secondary's turn at the crease Friday. With a tight grip on their bats, the opening batsmen took first knock in the final day of the United Insurance Under-20 Cricket Championship.
The game ended in a draw, with DSC claiming the 2016 United Insurance Under-20 Cricket title due to first innings points. College batted first, posting 238 all out. Dion Burton scored an impressive 123, while Nashan Underwood supported with 47. Ali Katanaz took 5 for 44, and Jasion Alexander 3 for 96 for Pierre Charles Secondary. PCSS replied with 75 all out. Jasion Alexander top scored with 31. Lee Louise picked up 4 for 29, Roman Paris 3 for 29, and Kashaski John Lewis 2 for 1 for State College. PCSS following on made 103 for 3. Ali Katanaz scored 61 not out. Lee Louise, Roman Paris and Kashaski John Lewis took 1 wicket each.
On to Division 1 football. RIC Kensborough and Waukee Rollers are focused on making a return to the DFA Premier League when they qualified for the semi-finals on Thursday. RIC Kensborough defeated Cube Cheese Barbershop Bath Estate 5-4 on penalty kicks after their match ended in a 1-all draw.
Joshua Doravalery scored for Kensborough in the 47th minute of play, with Cressler Benjamin getting the equalizer for Bath Estate in the 90th minute to send the game into penalty kicks.
Waukee Rollers defeated Element Agency's LA Stars 4-2, also at penalty kicks after their match ended 0-all in Game 2. Meantime, the semi-final matches begin next week when RIC Kensborough come up against Waukee Rollers. RC Doctors will have to wait to see who their opponent will be in the semis, since there's been no decision in the match between Petro Caribe Point Michelle and Itassi United, which ended prematurely. The action continues in the Premier League over the weekend with 3 games of play.
Real-time action will continue in the Flow Premier League this weekend, with newly crowned champions Dubla Football Club taking on Bath Estate Football Club at 3 p.m. on Saturday in the first match of a doubleheader at the Benjamin Park, to be followed by Kyrie FM Exodus Football Club versus Sideman Middleham United at 5 p.m. On Sunday, Northern Concrete and Steel Bombers will come up against Caribbean Cool Harlem United at 3 p.m. also at the Benjamin Park.
Still in cricket, the West Indies women will head into their second ODI against South Africa Saturday at the Buffalo Park in East London. The Windies won their first one-day international against South Africa by 16 runs on Wednesday. The scores: West Indies women 214 for 7, South Africa 198 all out. On the local scene, after 2 days of football in the NBD Primary Schools Championship on the East Zone, Will Strathmore Stephen placed first with 11 points, Sineku 10, Atkinson Primary 8 points, Concord Lighthouse 6, Wesley Primary 3, and Salibir 2 points. The top scorers of the qualifying round are Imran Frederick of Sineku Primary 5 goals, Ryan Basil, Will Strathmore Stevens, Dequan Etienne Sineku Primary 4, and Neo Davis of Atkinson Primary 3 goals. The Will Strathmore Stevens, Sineku, and Atkinson Primary Schools will advance to the next round. In more primary school sports, the final day of the table tennis competition was in full swing at the Goodwill Primary School grounds. In the girls' final, the Baroness Patricia Scotland defeated their open singles championships when Sandra Joseph beat Risa Joseph of the W.S. Stevens Primary 3-0. The scores 11-5, 11-8, and 11-4. For the boys, the W.S. Stevens Primary maintained their 14-year winning streak when Dario Frank and Giovanni Robinson, both from the W.S. Stevens Primary, met up in the final. Robinson won the match 3-0. The scores 11-4, 11-9, and 11-9. Finally, in sports, the Numem Domino League continues Sunday with 2 semi-final matches. Game 1 will be Rebels versus Metrics. The second will feature a match between Marinamon Zion and Remix. Mams Bar in Port Michelle will be the venue for Sunday's competition. That's all the sports for now. I am Kenny Williams. Have a great weekend.
And it's time now to take a look at your weekend weather report.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am Janelle Macpherson. Satellite imagery today showed some low-level clouds across the islands today. Skies across Dominica today were partly cloudy to cloudy. Radar imagery indicated some scattered showers across the island. The weather for tonight is expected to be partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy with a few brief scattered showers. Tomorrow, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with some scattered showers. Sea conditions tomorrow are expected to be moderate with waves peaking near 7 feet. For the next 3 days, weak unstable conditions are approaching the area. As a result, tomorrow Saturday, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a few scattered showers. By Sunday, an increasing cloudiness and some scattered showers. A slight improvement is expected by Monday. Throughout the Caribbean tomorrow, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered showers can be expected. On the international cities forecast, partly cloudy skies expected in New York and Caracas, clear skies expected in Miami and Beijing, cloudy skies expected in London. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:24 a.m. and set at 6:13 p.m. For up-to-date weather information, please call our weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit our website at weather.gov.dm. Thank you for viewing and have a good weekend.
To end the news, the headlines again. The Labour Party president defends government citizenship by investment program. The Smithsonian Institute backs an underwater expedition here with significant potential for tourism promotion. And the local NGO has high hopes for the establishment of a family court this year. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also watch our past newscasts on YouTube. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.